United States of America and to stand up for religious freedom. I pray that you bless every speaker that steps behind this podium, and I pray that you bless every great American here today, Father. In the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Bob Reed, the spokesman and founding board member of the Tea Party of Louisiana, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Okay, we can use that flag right there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah!
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Jared Lusher. There's Jared. We'll sing the national anthem, but please sing along with him.
All right.
Let's show America how we feel about her.
Yeah, you're right.
Good, Jared. All right.
Yeah, come on, put it on.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let's do that. Give him another round of applause. Not even Roseanne Barr can do that right. These rallies, as I mentioned, are about being patriotic and positive and upbeat, but primarily to show that the people that voted and elected Donald J. Trump to be president of the United States are an inclusive group of people from across the political spectrum. You will see that in our speakers today. You see that all across the nation. And if the fake news media would just report it, there wouldn't be any lies out there like that Donald Trump and his supporters are racist. I'm going to go through our lineup of speakers. I know all you guys are not up on the stage. If you'll just raise your hand, I'd appreciate it. And then I'll call you up and introduce you one at a time. Mr. Brian Trasher. Brian, are you still here? You didn't run away from us? All right. Brian worked on the Trump campaign as an advisor and organizer and on the transition team. And he's an author. He's an author of Laws and Sausage. You never want to see either one of them get made. I got to buy that book now just because of that. Travis Thompson, you've already met as a Baptist seminary student studying to be a minister and hopefully a military chaplain if I got my recruiting stuff done right. Travis, raise your hand again. Jeff Career. Jeff, did you make it? Jeff Career, another author. Man, I got a lot of authors behind me. He just released America's Last Chance. It's a great book.
Great book.
And he was on the Trump President Committee, and he's the host of Politics with a Punch.
Yes.
One of my favorite programs. Excellent, yeah. My favorite programs that you're here. Our keynote speaker today is a man who was a surrogate on the Donald Trump presidential campaign, who is a board member of the National Fair Tax Organization, so I really like him because I had that as a plank in my last platform and still support it. And his name is Autry Pruitt. Autry, where you at? Autry's our keynote speaker. Thank you for being here today, Autry. I know you guys had to make a trip, and we appreciate it. Renee Harrell. Renee, where are you? Okay, Renee is the publisher of Louisiana Thunder Roads magazine, a biker magazine, and if she doesn't make it, we'll fill that time in. Don't worry, I got an idea. Mr. Woody Jenkins, Louisiana Trump campaign co-chair, former state legislator, all-around mentor, the guy named Rob Maness when he decided to go crazy and get into politics. Ted Baldwin. Ted Baldwin is a Republican film director and screenwriter, and a good friend of mine. We became friends over the last year, and I just am so grateful that he agreed to be here. Not everybody's cut out to do this kind of stuff, you know. All right, so let's get started. Are y'all ready to rock and roll? Are you ready to show this media and show the people of America that the people of Louisiana support Donald J. Trump and the America First policies? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. God bless you. All right, Mr. Brian Trasher, come on up, sir. We're excited to hear from you.
All right.
Are there any protesters here? If there are protesters here, I forgot to welcome you. You are welcome as long as you exercise your First Amendment rights peacefully, and that's all that's covered under the First Amendment. You're welcome as well.
About it for Colonel Maness. Noah's Ark was built by amateurs. The Titanic was built by professionals. When then candidate Trump came down that famous escalator ride in Trump Tower to announce that he'd be seeking the Republican nomination for President of the United States, a lot of folks laughed. The media laughed. The Democrats definitely laughed. Even some Republicans laughed. But you guys didn't laugh because you had faith. You know, there was a third grade teacher once who told her students, y'all get out a piece of paper and a pencil, and I want you to draw the first thing that comes to your mind. Just anything that pops in your head, draw it on your piece of paper. So the kids get out their materials, they start working. And the teacher starts walking around inspecting the work. She stops at little Sally's desk, and she leans over her shoulder and she says, Sally, what are you drawing? Little Sally says, well, I'm drawing a picture of God. And the teacher says, well, Sally, you can't draw a picture of God. Nobody knows what he looks like. Without even looking up, little Sally says, they will in a minute. When you know, you just know, ladies and gentlemen. When you know, you just know. That's why back in 2011, I joined Team Trump, even though there was no Team Trump. I knew what the pulse of this country was, I knew what the mood was, and I knew that he was the only man that could get it done and defeat the Clinton machine. The polls got it wrong. The polls got it wrong. Everybody got it wrong. But you guys didn't get it wrong, and the reason why was because the establishment, if you will, was not counting on the silent majority. I think the silent majority was sleeping for about 8 years, but on the 8th of November, the silent majority woke up. There's the ancient Greek philosopher Plato who said, the consequence of not participating in politics is that you end up becoming governed by your inferiors. Well, I think that we have been governed by our inferiors for the last 8 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of failing, the era of losing, and the era of making America last is over. I'm happy to report to you today that the adults are back in charge. Now, it seems like all our Democrat friends can talk about lately is Russia. They remind me of Jan Brady. Russia, Russia, Russia.
That was funny.
Well, you know, back in 2008, Governor Sarah Palin, then candidate for Vice President of the United States, warned everybody that Russia was rebuilding their economy, their nuclear arsenal, and they're ramping up to be a superpower again. The media laughed at her and said, what does she know? Just because she can see Russia from her front porch, she thinks she knows her foreign policy? They laughed at her. Well, fast forward to 2012, Mitt Romney, candidate for president, at a presidential debate, warned that Russia was oil-rich, using that money to rebuild the military and their nuclear arsenal, and that if we were not careful with our foreign policy, they were going to be a problem again. President Obama laughed at him, said he was out of touch, said that he had a Cold War mentality. Fast forward to 2017, all of a sudden Democrats are worried about Russia. Russia regained its superpower status because they were able to manipulate the Obama administration for the last 8 years. Now, people say that President Trump is a master manipulator, but I'll tell you, he's good at manipulating the media. I mean, they take the bait every day. How good is he? Well, he's such a good manipulator that he's got Brian Williams and Dan Rather talking about fake news. He's got the liberals finally realizing that Russia's a problem. And he's got atheists walking around quoting the Pope. Now, I think the greatest revelation from 2016 was that the hypocrisy we always knew existed in the media and on the left is now on display every day, 24/7 for the world to see. They really are the gift that keeps on giving. But you know, it was the great communicator Ronald Reagan who said that the problem with our liberal friends are not that they're stupid, it's just that they know so much that isn't so. Now, the most dangerous kind of stupid person is the one that doesn't actually know they're stupid, right? That sounds like Hollywood, right? Now, only in Hollywood can an Iranian national be cheered on as he lectures the United States about the consequences of inhumane laws. Really? Really, Iran? Meanwhile, Iranian television is broadcasting the Oscars, and when the women walk up on stage, they're actually photoshopping more conservative dresses over what they were really wearing because apparently it was too sensitive for their culture. Now, these are the same women, mind you, who are out there marching to increase the rights of illegal immigrants from hostile Muslim countries. That's hypocrisy. That makes no sense. That's like the hens marching, demanding more rights for the foxes to have free run of the farm. Ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood is the epicenter of the committee to re-elect Donald Trump, and they don't even know it. The more they keep talking, the more his numbers go up, the more that the rational people in this country unify together in support of President Trump. Now, speaking of television, anybody catch the president's speech to Congress Tuesday night? Was there something else going on Tuesday? Was it Mardi Gras or something? Or how do you guys think he did? When I sent word to the president that hundreds of his supporters would be gathering in Baton Rouge in support of him, the first thing he said was, "Oh yeah, Baton Rouge, that's where we broke Elton John's attendance record at the River Center." You guys remember that a year ago? His first Louisiana rally, and the fire marshal came up to him and said, "Mr. Trump, just want to let you know you had the largest attendance ever, had to turn away approximately 3,000 people at the door." And Trump, being Trump's like, "Well, what was second place attendance?" And he said, "Elton John." And Trump said, "Oh, I'm going to text Elton right now, and I'm going to rub it in his face." So he loves Baton Rouge, and he is excited that everybody's here. Now, one more time, I want to give a shout out to Colonel Manus and Gator Pack for inviting me and for putting on these great rallies. To all of you for coming. By the way, if this were an anti-Trump rally, the Colonel is the guy you would have to see to pick up your checks for being here. But this is grassroots. This isn't AstroTurf. We're all here for free. Everybody except me. I'm kidding. We also want to make sure we keep supporting our congressional delegation who are getting harassed by paid protesters at their town hall meetings. They're doing things like booing the invocation, booing the national anthem. Come on, folks, let's have rational discourse in this country. It's fine to protest. It's fine to be against things. It's fine to be for things. But let's get out there and support our delegation. Even Congressman Richmond, even though he doesn't vote with us, but he deserves our support and our prayers as well. Least popular line of the speech. I love it. Well, look, so the president said that what he wanted to do is he wanted everybody here to cheer so loud that he could hear you all the way in Washington, D.C. So I'm trying to figure out how I can get this crowd fired up. So do we have any LSU fans here today? LSU is my alma mater. We're so close. The Tigers have a baseball game against Baylor today at 3:30. So I figured that what we could do is channel some of that Tiger spirit and give a big go Tigers. So this side I want to say go, this side Tigers. You ready? Go! Tigers! Go! Tigers! Go! Tigers! All right, good job. Good job. We're going to mix it up, though. We're going to mix it up just a bit. We want to make sure the president hears us all the way in Washington, D.C. It's about 1,200 miles away, okay? So this time we're going to say, go Trump. Are you ready?
Right.
Go!
Go! Trump! Go! Trump! Go! Trump!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a great crowd. God bless the great state of Louisiana. God bless the United States. And God save President Donald Trump. Make America great again. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian Treasure. Let's hear it one more time for him. All right, the next gentleman that's going to come up and speak to you has given many speeches, except they're usually in churches. And I asked him to do this as not only a person that I've come to know over the last few years as a very dedicated young American, somebody that paid his own way to go to the inauguration, somebody that's working hard, but as somebody who is from a generation that not a lot of folks seem to understand. And the media doesn't think that we understand them. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Travis Thompson.
Hi, how is everyone today?
Good.
Well, my name is Travis Thompson, and I was the president of the Republican Teens of Slidell last year, and I'm currently a student at the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. The Republican Teens of Slidell won the National Club Award twice consecutively. They worked really hard. We stay very active in local and national politics. I'm sure that most of our Louisiana politicians get tired of seeing my face so frequently, but I tell them that I never miss a chance to say hello. What an honor it is to be asked to speak at this rally by Colonel Manus. Thank you so much, Colonel. I appreciate it. I was actually in Washington, D.C. at the inauguration with the Colonel, but we just didn't get to run into each other. The inauguration of Donald J. Trump was one of the best moments of my young life. Washington, D.C. was a madhouse during that time, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. The city was filled with people like us, deplorables. Every chance I got, I was connecting with people and getting to know them. We were from all different walks of life, from different corners of the nation, but we all had a better America in our sight. I can remember as a young boy watching The Apprentice and seeing this amazing businessman who owned the room psychologically, and well, physically, since he also owned the building. I was sold from that point on. When he rolled down that escalator over 15 months ago, I knew that he wasn't only my guy, but that he was America's guy. We have so much to look forward to in this great nation. The Trump administration has promised us lower taxes, border security, the wall is coming, folks, the return of religious freedom, and American jobs. We now have a president who is not afraid to say radical Islamic terrorism. No longer will our government bow to political correctness and globalism. American sovereignty is taking precedence once again as we reach for dreams our founders could only imagine for us. Think about this. This was all of us, overcame all obstacles. They told us we could never win. The fake news media said time and time again that Donald Trump was a joke. Well, the future of our nation is no laughing matter and should never be taken so lightly. The political elites who have ran this country for a long time are now shaking in their seats. The middle class will no longer be trampled upon. I remember after Hillary Clinton conceded the election to Donald Trump, he said this: "The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer." I believe that Americans saw all of this in the man that we now call president. They saw someone who was genuine and who actually cared about the concerns for the nation generations before them have called home. I remember when Donald Trump came to this great city and the surrounding areas after the recent flooding. I have family here who said that the man actually walked through the neighborhoods and into the homes that were a few hours before blanketed in river water. He gave advice and offered financial help to some of those affected. That is empathy at its finest and most sincere sense. This is the type of man we need representing not only Louisiana, but the rest of the nation in the White House. This great land desperately needed a man who had reverence for God. We can not only count on our human abilities and understandings to mend what this last administration has done to our beautiful republic. Ronald Reagan once said, "If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under." We have come too far in this fight for the reclamation of our freedom to not look to the Almighty, the Lord Jesus Christ. I have seen an incredible change in Donald Trump throughout this campaign. He is a man who was humbled as he surrounded himself with pastors and other Christian leaders and spoke to regular, everyday Americans across the nation. No one expected for evangelicals and Catholics to come out in droves to vote for this man. Folks, I'm not here to say that President Trump is perfect, but I am going to say that he is being used by God. I believe we are witnessing a time in this nation like none other before. 2 Chronicles 7:14 says this: "If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land." I pray that this upcoming generation, my generation, will seek the face of the Lord. The candidacy and presidency of Donald J. Trump has awakened the spirit of America and the youth across this nation. Young people came out in droves to vote for Donald Trump in November. Millennials did not only vote for President Trump, they also volunteered countless hours towards the campaign efforts. The liberal media has done its best to convince the nation that young people are not conservative and will never vote Republican. We witnessed this election how false that fake news narrative was. As we look across the horizon of the future of this nation, we must educate our youth. We cannot hand over the future of America to liberal snowflakes. Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation from extinction." The truth in this quote from one of our conservative heroes must awaken us to action. We have been given a second chance to reclaim this great republic. We cannot afford to let this opportunity slip from our grasp. May we all do everything in our power to teach and guide the younger generation to love God, America, and conservatism. As we look into the horizon at the future of America, we can have hope. The presidency is now occupied by a man who has actually created jobs and who loves the citizens of this great land. Only 1 month in, we have already seen so many great achievements from his administration. President Trump has already signed executive orders for the Keystone Pipeline, a freeze on federal hiring except for the military, and a temporary ban of travel from the nations littered with terrorist groups. Those are just to name a few. Folks, all of these were promised in his campaign. Having an administration that keeps its promises is vital. We must also remember we cannot fix America with one man. We must stand together and come behind President Trump and support him and his administration every step of the way. The Almighty and everyday Americans make this nation great. I believe the future of our experiment with democracy and freedom will prevail. American sovereignty will take precedence once again. America will be put first from now on, not foreign nations. The world has never seen a nation so great and just as the United States of America. By electing President Donald J. Trump, we can make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you.
Way to go, Travis. All right. Next up, my friend, Mr. Jeff Carreras. He's making his way up here. As I said, he's a Trump for President committee member, Politics with a Punch host, and the author of America's Last Chance. And man, has he got a lot of great things to say about this country and this president. Thank you, Jeff.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? So the president yesterday talked about education reform. I think it's necessary. A friend of mine sent me some information about how math has changed over the years. A math problem in 1960. A logger sells a truckload of lumber for $100. His cost of production is 4/5 of the price. What is the profit? A math problem in the 70s. A logger sells a truckload of lumber for $100. His cost of production is 4/5 of the price, or $80. What is his profit? A math problem in the 80s. A logger sells a truckload of lumber for $100. His cost of production is $80. Did he make a profit? A math problem in the 90s. A logger sells a truckload of lumber for $100. His cost of production is $80. The profit is $20. Your assignment, underline the number 20. And a math problem today. A logger cuts down a beautiful forest because he is selfish and inconsiderate and cares nothing for the habitats of animals or the preservation of our woodlands. He does this so he can make a profit of $20. What do you think of this way of making a living? Topic for class participation after answering the question, how did the birds and squirrels feel as a logger cut down their homes? There are no wrong answers. Feel free to express your feelings, anger, anxiety, helplessness, and counselors and safe spaces will be available if necessary. That is education today. So, no wonder Donald Trump was talking about that yesterday. Does our establishment want our president to change Washington? Maybe this was the reason why the Trump Tower was bugged. The president pointed the finger at former President Obama this morning. As a private citizen, General Flynn was bugged. And that is why he was forced out of office. Now they're trying to do the same thing to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Should he resign? The media is howling. But are you tired of CNN and the fake news? They spent 8 years as lapdogs for President Obama. Now they're turning into rabid attack dogs. They're passing as objective journalists, but they're constantly criticizing our president. Did you see the latest report? 88% of the coverage of Donald Trump from our media has been negative. Everybody from the media here should be ashamed. Some in the media and the Democrats claim that Jeff Sessions should resign since he met with the Russian ambassador. But as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, he met with 30 ambassadors in just 1 year. And guess what? His meeting with the Russian ambassador was arranged by the Obama State Department. And all the Democrats who are howling, Karen McCaskill, she met with the Russian ambassador. Nancy Pelosi, she met with the Russian ambassador. Chuck Schumer, he even met with Vladimir Putin. So maybe, folks, they should resign. So instead of the Attorney General recusing himself or backing down, it's time to fight back against the media, against the Obama forces in the government. Do you agree? Barack Obama has moved into an 8,200 square foot compound 2 miles from the White House. Now, what do you think he's doing in there? And guess who just moved in? Valerie Jarrett. They are directing 32,000 operatives working to preserve the Obama legacy and tear down Donald Trump. No former president has ever stayed involved in politics this way. George W. Bush was quiet for 8 years. Barack Obama was quiet for 8 minutes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a dilemma. On one side is Obama and his network, Michael Moore, who criticized the wife of an American hero who was at the State of the Union address. The Democrats who keep electing people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi as their leaders. And they just appointed radical Muslim Keith Ellison as their vice chairman. Donald Trump is taking them on. The media, Hollywood, the establishment of both parties, special interests, the globalists, the intelligence community loyal to Obama, the liberal federal bureaucracy, just to name a few. And who does he have in his corner? Us. It's us. It's us and the president against the world. We need to show our support for the president at events like this all over the country and not stop. It's time for good, patriotic, tax-paying Americans to fight back. Folks, the stakes are high. Our country is in trouble. Colleges, free speech is under attack. President Obama left our country racially divided, economically weak, military in disarray, ISIS on the march, Iran emboldened and richer, and urban communities like New Orleans and Chicago, very violent, with spiraling high murder rates. In comes Donald Trump, who does more in his transition than Barack Obama did in 8 years. He met with corporate executives. He saved jobs, something Barack Obama never did. Obama was trying to please the world. Donald Trump is trying to please one group of people, the American people. Folks, it's time for an American First policy. We need to reevaluate our relationship to the UN, NATO. Other countries need to pay their fair share. It's no longer Uncle Sucker. As the president said in his inaugural, now arrives the hour of action. In the first 43 days, what has this man done? He followed up his campaign promises with action. A man of his word, executive actions, great cabinet appointments, but now we wait for Congress to follow through on their commitments to us, the voters. They promised repeal and replacement of Obamacare. They promised tax cuts. Now they better deliver. We need a wall. We need to deport criminal illegal aliens. I reject the claim that Americans will not work. I reject the claim that there are jobs that we will not do. We just need opportunities. Under President Obama, 15 million people left the workforce. We now have 95 million people outside of the workforce. The lowest labor force participation rate, ladies and gentlemen, in 40 years. Thank goodness we have got a president who knows how to create jobs and will make this a business-friendly nation once again. If enacted, his agenda is going to work. We know it's going to work. That's what they're afraid of. Just look at the stock market. My good friend who is a teacher has already made $100,000 because of Donald Trump. But folks, let me conclude with this. Look at what we're facing. Look at the GOP town hall meetings under siege from paid protesters. Are any of you paid? No. They are. They are. At the Cassidy rally in Metairie, the parking lot was filled with license plates from out of state. You think they just stumbled on the Jefferson Parish Library? I don't think so. Thankfully, most Americans do not approve of booing the name of Jesus, of booing the Pledge of Allegiance. We love this country. We love our flag. And we love our Judeo-Christian heritage. And ladies and gentlemen, we support our president, Donald J. Trump, a fine man working day and night to make this country great again. So thank you for coming. Thanks to Colonel Matus for organizing the event. And God bless the USA.
God bless you.
Thank you. Jeff Carrera, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Carrera. Before we get to our keynote speaker, let me take care of a little bit of admin. That's administrative stuff. I know I'm a military guy. That's what we say. We got some admin to do. Everybody see the word S-O-A-R up here, SOAR?
Yes.
Spirit of America Rally.
There you go.
Send a text to that. The numbers are 22828, and you can sign up to continue to get information on Spirit of America rallies. This is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do this for 8 years and more, as long as we have a real, true American in that office. Also, we do have some elected officials here. I know Representative Amadei was here. Remember, you're still here? If you're here, raise your hand. We have Supreme Court Justice Jeff Smith. Jeff, would you come up and just say hi? Or Jeff Hughes, I'm sorry. Jeff Hughes, Supreme Court, from this area.
I'm glad to be here, and just remember, no matter how you slice it, no matter what they say, the protesters, the media, whoever, we won the election.
You darn straight we did. We won the election, and we're going to win the media fight too, aren't we? Thank you, Justice Hughes. I appreciate you being here. The reason I pointed those folks out is that they are grassroots elected people that are conservative or from the Republican Party, and there are grassroots Republican leaders in this crowd. And I want to say thank you all for being here today. There are former state representatives, Lennar Whitney. I just saw you, Lennar. Councilman Amoroso, where did I see you at? Aren't you here, sir? Buddy Amoroso, thank you. Former state rep Steve Gunn, all the way from Grant Parish. Thank you all for being here today. So when I got the word that this man, our keynote speaker, was willing to come speak, unpaid by the way, because I'm not paid either, and neither is he, and that he had been a official Trump presidential campaign surrogate, and that he was on the National Fair Tax Organization board, I couldn't say no. Matter of fact, I said, thank you, Lord. Prayers have been answered. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Autry Pruitt. Autry, please come on up and give this man a great Louisiana welcome. Let him know how much you appreciate Donald J. Trump. I don't hear you. All right.
I'm a little more serious than some of the previous speakers you've had, so bear with me. But before I begin, I want to first say thank you to all the Trump supporters who've supported me, to people who bought my book, to people who sent me great love, and thank you to Colonel Manus. And to our vets. Veterans, can you put your hands up? Where are the veterans? And wives of veterans, children, family members. Yeah. I don't want to keep. My grandmother used to tell me, don't make folks glad twice. Glad when you get up and glad when you sit down. So I'll leave my thanks short. The mainstream press and the elite politicians are still in denial, not only about the election, but about the real pain Americans are facing. These graduates of Harvard and Yale and Stanford, they have great sympathy for everybody. If you're Yemenis, come on in. Iraqi, doesn't matter. They have great sympathy for everyone except for fellow Americans. The elites continue to ignore those of us who have been staring in the mirror of American history, seeing promise, but presently only living in pain. They do not understand that today, the elites don't understand that today, most Americans occupy a harsh space between an America that was and an America that is. Even after this historic electoral rebuke, the political elite seem to be focused on who met what Russian ambassador and at what party and when, Arnold Schwarzenegger quitting The Celebrity Apprentice, and which, by the way, Trump called, but that's a side note. Side note. I could. Never mind. Let me not get off script. We got limited time. And who? Who said that? This is like church. And who will or won't sell Ivanka Trump products? It is as if the media and the political elite experienced an entirely different election in another country. The establishment has started now to say all the right things. The establishment has started now breaking their necks to get into a photo op with President Trump. And you will always find them ready to clap at the right moment. But if I could borrow and modify advice from St. Matthew, beware of the elites, for they come to us in sheep's clothing, but on the inside, they are really vicious wolves. Make no mistake, the elites are scheming right now on how to either convert President Trump and all of us, or how to undermine President Trump and all of us. So I've come all the way from Austin, Texas, to give our new liberty movement a warning. Once an elite, always an elite.
Come on.
How can we be so foolish to believe that a senator or congressperson who has spent 20 plus years in office voting for globalism suddenly believes in America first? That's right. You need to flush it. How can we be so blind to accept that the so-called conservative politicians, let me stress the words so-called politicians, who have spent their lives being a political chameleon, ducking and diving, changing their color to fit the crowd they are in, how can we be so blind to believe that they are suddenly authentic?
No, they're not.
We cannot afford, as Trump supporters, to be that foolish. We cannot afford, as Americans, to be that blind. These wolves, these elites, folks, these men and women are measured. They're controlled. They're smart. I know Nancy Pelosi to the contrary, they are.
Come on.
Look at what's happened. Just a couple of days ago, many in the conservative establishment took no pause to throw Attorney General Jeff Sessions under the bus. If you paid attention to the news, the fake news, not the news we watch, the fake news, General Flynn was already marginalized in conservative media even before he got the nod to be National Security Advisor. And Andrew Putzer was blown to smithereens because he did something the left wants everybody to do: unknowingly employ an illegal alien. This should be a warning that the conservative and liberal elites are not dead. They are aligned. These statements are not exaggerations. They're not speculations. You don't need any special degree to come to this understanding. Just look at the examples we have before us. I just heard Paul Ryan say, 3 weeks and you'll have an Obamacare plan. 3 weeks and we will repeal. 3 weeks? How many years has it been since Obamacare has been passed? 7? Why wait another 3 weeks? It makes me wonder, do the conservative elites ever truly believe they would be able to repeal Obamacare? And worse yet, did they really want to?
Come on.
Rhino.
Did the leadership, whatever that means, ever conceptualize a true replacement to make health care affordable? The establishment over the past 8 years had 50-some-odd votes in some form or fashion that would have gotten rid of Obamacare, and now that they are in power, we can't get one. Do you see Rand Paul on TV dragging through the halls of the Capitol? He was dragging a photocopier. He went up to the room, H-157, Area 157 was what we'll call it from now on. He's knocked. May I see the plan? Hello? Hello? Literally, not figuratively, literally, the establishment is locked behind a closed door, tinkering with our lives.
They want socialized medicine.
That's true. But the real irony is that President Obama passed his universal stealing money healthcare proposal in the same way the establishment is drafting theirs, locked behind a closed door with no real conservative input. If you listen to the establishment, they have used the words of the mainstream media. They have used the words of the elites. We have to do it right. We don't want to make the same mistakes as Obama. We want to repeal and replace at the same time. The right thing to do is to repeal Obamacare. The mistake was passing Obamacare. And guess what? If you repeal it, it's replaced with the free market. So I'm asking Speaker Ryan, I'm asking these wolves, elites, establishments, and graduates, there's some children here, so let me, sorry. Got where I was for a moment. I'm asking, where is the bill? They could pass the legislation right now, but even the mainstream media reported that senior Republican lawmakers, translate that as Speaker Ryan, are behind the scenes being more blunt. They're saying they have no problem steamrolling conservatives. In other words, they have no problem steamrolling you and you and your kids. I don't know about you, but I didn't want Obamacare, and I certainly don't want leadership care. We've almost gotten steamrolled on debt and deficits. Trump talked about the debt. He talked about the deficits. Why isn't the leadership talking about debt and deficits? Right now, every single tax-paying person owes the American government $875,000, almost $1 million to pay off the national debt. And I'm not talking about this little 20 trillion debt that they like to throw at you. I'm talking about the real national debt. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, Federal Employee Pension Fund. That's the real story. When I was growing up, and I was only 37, conservatives used to talk about debt and deficits. When I was growing up, Democrats even talked about debt and deficits. The elite from day one should not spend more money than what the government makes. There should be someone to stand up for us and just say stop. Donald Trump talked about tax reform. Donald Trump talked about the fact that the idea that the federal government gets your money before you get your money, there's a problem with that. You realize, right, by the time you get the check, if you're on a W-2, by the time you get the check in your bank account, the government has snatched out their portion of your money. Not their money, your money. I know you're hearing we've got to be cautious because we're hearing all the right things. But they're setting us up for a doozy. I don't even call it tax reform, I just call it a tax refresh. The elites say they're going to reduce the number of tax brackets. All right. They're going to close some hedge fund loopholes. Okay. They're being all fancy and talking about border adjustability. I can talk about that, but we'll save that for. I don't want to put you to sleep yet. And they want to increase the amount of refunds that we're going to get. That's what the establishment. Donald Trump asked for a tax cut, and right now the establishment is tinkering with the idea that you won't get an immediate tax cut. You'll just get the cut on the quote-unquote back end. And they're going to bring down the corporate tax rate. But I want to ask, why aren't the conservatives committed to the Trump tax policy, a true middle-class tax cut? They should be committed to the real conservative concept that small businesses and restaurants don't really pay taxes. That money is passed on in the terms of less benefits, less wages, higher consumer prices to all of us. Let me be so bold as to even go a little bit step further than Donald Trump and say a true conservative tax policy would roll back the withholding provision. Imagine if every single one of us had to write a check every month to the IRS. Even our friends on the other side of the aisle would pay much closer attention to where the government puts our money. Lastly, let me get to culture. This is an important one for me, and it's a touchy topic because people, even though we're in the era of, getting rid of political correctness, and, we're Americans. We don't want to hurt people's feelings unduly. We don't want to see people crying on the street. I'm not talking about snowflakes. I'm talking about real pain. We don't want to see that. But there's something happening amongst the conservative elite we need to be cautious of. No one's talking on Capitol Hill about the fact that there are Americans that hate America. That our culture is becoming increasingly violent. Everyday conservatives should be bringing up incidents such as the Texas elementary school student who was beaten so badly by his classmates for voting for Trump in a mock election. 4th grade. He ended up in the emergency room. A female California high school student out in all-inclusive LA was brutally beaten by a classmate for supporting Trump. And then there was a mentally challenged man who expressed support for Trump, who was kidnapped and tortured by 4 thugs. No one's talking about that. No one in the elite is talking about that, let alone talking about what are we going to do when the Democrats try to bring forth free tuition. That's coming. They're going to try it. What are we going to do when they try to increase occupational licensing? I don't know if you know what occupational licensing is, but here in Louisiana, woo, you guys, I don't know if you realize this, but close to 27% of your industries, you have to have a special license from the government to work. That's a whole different ball of wax. We'll talk about that some other time. Now, I know we all were offended when we heard Secretary Clinton call us irredeemable. We were all awestruck when the Honorable Representative Maxine Waters told the world we're nothing but a bunch of scumbags. And our hearts perhaps sank when Mr. Chris Matthews referred to us as dogs. But having the elites talk about us like slave owners used to talk about slaves is of no real concern. What I am dismayed about is that in the thralls of our celebration, we must endeavor to not become foolish. The elites are not our friends. The media is not and will never be. This is so important because I see people getting lazy. Yeah. The media is not and will never be on our side. They're not our friends. My friends aren't perfect, but my friends would care that I have trouble feeding my family. My friends can be crass, but they would never cheer at the collapse of my industry. My friends are not even always popular, but they have helped me when I'm financially broken. And most of all, my friends tell me the truth. We voted for Trump because he was the first presidential candidate we felt was a real friend. It's the first time in our life we felt that a presidential candidate risked their own complete financial and reputation destruction to fight back on our behalf. We supported Trump because he exposed not only the decades of hypocrisy and lies, but he exposed the excuses. There was no greater moment of sunshine and clarity than in the debate when Trump looked at Hillary and said, "Girl, you've been in Washington for 30 damn years. Why haven't you fixed the problem?" This is a dangerous time. This is a cautious time. And I want you to be willing to stand on guard. We are in a fight now for the very existence of the American soul. That's not hyperbole. I believe that with all of my heart. We must not capitulate. We must not give up any ground. They are not the resistance.
Come on.
We are the true resistance. We are the next freedom fighters. This moment in history may be America's last stand. The only way we will preserve our shining city on a hill is to understand the allegiance of our alliance is not centered on one man or a group of men, but found in original principle anchored in truth. The truth is that all are created equal and endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the principle is America first. May God bless you, your family, and may God bless the United States.
Drain that swamp. Drain that swamp.
Drain that swamp. Drain that swamp. Drain that swamp. Drain that swamp.
Hear me now, establishment elites. We demand a full repeal. We demand a full repeal of Obamacare. We demand a full repeal. Say it, people. You gotta let your representatives know. Your Republican representatives, and 90% of them in this state need to hear you. They need to hear you today. They need to hear you tomorrow 3 times and every day hereafter. We demand a full repeal. Support the president and his policies. This next young man needs not much introduction. He's one of my mentors. He's a Louisiana Trump campaign co-chair, former state representative that has done many, many, many things that I cannot even begin to list for the state of Louisiana and our country. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Woody Jenkins. Where'd he go? Woody, where'd you go? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Woody Jenkins.
Thank you very much, Rob Matus. It's great to be here. It was certainly an honor to serve as state chairman for Donald Trump. And what a great majority the people in Louisiana gave to our President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Thank you for all you did to make it a success. I wanted to mention for a second Justice Hughes, who came up a while ago, and how significant his election was. It's been almost 5 years since he was elected to the state Supreme Court. But he was the first Republican in history from the Baton Rouge area ever elected to the Louisiana Supreme Court. And when he was elected, it shifted the balance of power where for the first time ever, the Republicans were in a majority on the state Supreme Court. Not that party means everything, because we actually have a slightly higher conservative majority on the Supreme Court, but his election was very significant, and when he comes up for re-election, I guess it's perhaps next year, we certainly want to support him.
That's right.
If he's not, in the meantime, appointed to some higher judicial appointment, which would be good too. But thank you, Judge Hughes, for all you do to bring justice to our state. You know, today there's someone I haven't seen in a very long time, and I want to bring him up because he was and is one of my best friends. He served with me in the House of Representatives over here for only 4 years. He was the only independent elected to the Louisiana House of Representatives in those times. And during those years, he was a great force for conservative values and independent thinking. And during that time, he and I were very concerned about our taxes being raised through fees. You know, the government would adopt all these fees, and it would pass the legislature by a majority vote instead of the 2/3 vote required by taxes. So one after the other, they would pass higher fees and not call it a tax. Well, he authored, and I helped him pass a constitutional amendment to say that to raise fees, you have to have a 2/3 vote of the legislature as well. And he has been an ardent supporter of Donald Trump since the beginning. And I want to ask former Representative Steve Gunn to come up and share the mic with me for a second and tell us about his experience during this campaign and why he supported Donald Trump. From Grant Parish, the independent voice, Representative Steve Gunn.
Thank you. I know what you're thinking. Where would he find this character? But I come from Montgomery, up in the rural part of Grant Parish. Not that it's not all rural, but anyway, Woody and I were talking the other day after the election, and he said, "What did you think about the presidential election?" And I said, "Oh, it's great, but it got me in trouble." He said, "How did it do that?" I said, "Well, I celebrated. I got up on the roof of my house, took the plug out of my shotgun, and fired off a few rounds." But the police came. They called me Mr. Steve. I was mayor up there 14 years. They all know me. And so they said, "Mr. Steve, you got to get down. They all think you're going crazy." I said, "Well, that's what they thought when I walked in the legislature 25 years ago. Nothing new." They said, "The mayor's upset and the people are calling right and left. You got to get down." I said, "Don't tell them to pipe down. I just got 2 more boxes of shells." They said, "Yeah, but Mr. Steve, you've been up there 4 days." I want to thank Woody for inviting me up here. But it's, we really need Donald Trump there. And my goodness, Woody ought to be in the Senate. They stole it from him like they're trying to steal the White House from Donald Trump right now. And Rob Manning ought to be the other senator. I'd feel a lot better. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to sit down. My sheriff in Grant Parish, who happens to be my cousin, is doing a great job. He confiscated $460,000 worth of crystal meth the other day. And I said, "Where did it come from?" "From Mexico, from the cartels." I said, "My goodness, how many young lives will this have ruined?" He said, "Thousands." That's why we need Donald Trump. That's why we need a wall. I think my time's about to run up here. I've got to go back to Montgomery, so I'll see you. Thank you, Woody.
I'll tell you a story about Steve, actually about his grandfather. We think about the corruption going on these days, and it's been going on since Louisiana began, but After the Civil War, during Reconstruction, the legislature passed the Louisiana lottery. And it became one of the most corrupt institutions in America. As a matter of fact, that's why Congress banned gambling or lotteries through the mail, was because of the corruption of the Louisiana lottery. And the legislature had given the Louisiana Lottery Company a 25-year license to operate a monopoly on the lottery. And when it came up for renewal, it was in the early 1890s, and Murphy Foster, the first Murphy Foster, was the governor. And he had been elected on an anti-gambling platform. But in the legislature, they were paying $30,000 a vote if you would vote to keep the monopoly for the Louisiana Lottery Company instead of abolishing it. Well, at that time, Steve Gunn's grandfather was in the legislature. And this was in the House chamber at the old state capitol. And when it came time on a roll call, they did it not electronically in those days, they called out Representative Gunn. He, sort of like Steve there, he jumped up on top of his desk, and at the top of his voice, he shouted, "No!" And the Louisiana Lottery Corporation was killed, so that corruption was ended. So the fight for honesty, for justice, continues. At times, the names change, the times change, but it's always human nature, really is always the same. We're sinners, and we always have to work for the best in our character. And even though any one of us makes a mistake, we have to still strive to be better. You know, right before the election, I was talking to one of my friends who was a former mayor. He's a strong Democrat, strong supporter of Hillary Clinton. And I was telling him why Donald Trump was going to win the election. And I was talking about what was really going on in America. You know, we have today, if you're not supporting the hard left, you're labeled a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, an Islamophobe. And they've got so many phobias I can't keep up with them. But the whole idea on the Democratic side is to put together groups. It may be women, it may be Latin, it may be gays, it may be any number of different groups. And if you listen closely at the rhetoric, and if you read Marx, you will find that it's all Marxist-Leninist rhetoric. Class warfare. They're trying to pit one American against another, one group. Let's talk about race for a second. I hate it when I hear someone say, "I'm proud to be black," or "I'm proud to be white." Listen here. Your race is an accident of your birth. You had absolutely nothing to do with it. There's no reason to be proud, and there's no reason to be ashamed based on your race or where you were born or anything like that. We're not responsible for that. What we're responsible for is our actions. We're responsible for what we do. And I love what President Trump said. He said, if you love America, if your heart is filled with patriotism, there's no room for racism in your thinking. And I believe him on that, and I'm so proud of him. And I think that's true not only if you love our country, if you love God. You don't look at people in that way. But I'm talking to my friend about why we were going to win, and I said, you've lumped together all these different groups. You hope that you can somehow put together a majority. You can put the Muslims with the gays. Now think about that, and you think about all the tenets of Islam against homosexuality. And you're going to put the women's movement with the Muslims, and you think about all the things they believe against abortion and against the rights of women. This is a coalition that's just untenable, and they're trying to hold it together. But I said, you've left out one group, one important group in your coalition, and it's why you're going to lose. And he said, well, what have we forgotten? I said, you've forgotten the workers. You've forgotten the working men and women of this nation. And I said, that's what's going to defeat you in the heartland of America. And sure enough, if you look at Ohio and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, you'll see that working people, including millions of union members who had been voting Democrat before, left them. Really, the Democratic Party left them, left the workers. And so who are the Republicans today? The Republicans are the working people and the small business owners. Now, the big business and the wealthy, they're on the Democrat side, with the people on the receiving end of government. Somebody asked me, what would you do in North Baton Rouge, where I'm from, where we have so many problems? I'd say, help people there start a business, own a business, because your life will change, your perspective will change. There's just a few things that will change your perspective. Accepting God or Jesus as your Heavenly Father, that will change your life. Getting married will change your life. Having children will change your life. Starting a business will change the way you look at the world. I said, and as far as you being a Democrat, you start a business, you're not going to be a Democrat much longer. You'll be a Republican, because you'll be paying those taxes and meeting those regulations. So, we have together today a winning coalition. It's the people who are working. We want to grow that coalition. And how do we do it? Now, I'm going to take a little bit different view on the media. You know, from the time I was a small boy, I recognized that I needed to communicate my ideas to other people. So I was in the school newspaper in elementary school, and then when I was in high school, I became a radio newsman, and then a TV newsman and announcer at Channel 9 here in Baton Rouge, and then I started the North Baton Rouge Journal with my wife Diane, and we've been in media our entire lives, even though I served in the legislature for 28 years. Today we publish the Capital City News and the Central City News. And I want to say this about media. The media is just a person or a group of people who get together to share news and information. The most important thing I'd like you to take away from today is that you are the media.
That's right. That is right.
Somebody else. And that thing you're holding in your hand, that iPhone, is the most powerful invention probably ever in terms of communication. Right now, my iPhone is sitting there transmitting this event live to the world. It would have taken millions and millions of dollars to be able to buy all the cameras and have all the satellites and be able to broadcast to the world. Technologically, it really is not feasible. But with that phone you hold in your hand, you can communicate to anyone in the world. And that is power. So use your power. Use Facebook. Somebody says, well, I don't like Facebook. Learn to like it. Because it is the most powerful way you have right now to communicate to large numbers of people. Use it to send out news and information. You don't have to talk about where we're going shopping today or what time we're going to bed. Talk about the important ideas that affect our nation. And you will have a tremendous impact. There will be tens of thousands of people who see this rally today because of that iPhone sitting there broadcasting on Facebook Live. So learn the technology and use it. The big-time mainstream media is being left behind. Rush Limbaugh right now reaches more people every day than the three major newscasts on ABC, CBS, and NBC combined. And guess who else does? President Donald Trump. People say, oh, he should quit tweeting. Are you crazy? He's going to shut down the largest way in America to reach right into people's phones every day whenever he has something he wants to communicate. I can tell you they can call for him to do that all day long, but he's not going to do it. He's going to keep communicating. You keep communicating. You spread your ideas. What we are doing is we are submerging the mainstream media with our voices. So continue to do that. Today was his best tweet, someone said. All right, we're going to see. If he tweets it, I'll tell you what, I tend to believe it. I'll believe it until I prove him wrong, and that hasn't happened very often. So I want to say, I also saw somebody coming in here, Roger Villery. Did I see Roger? Our state Republican chairman, Roger Villery, thank you so much for all you do. He's done a tremendous job. And look at what we have since he's been Republican chairman. We have all of our statewide elected officials except the governorship. We have all except one congressman. We have large majorities in the House and Senate. Now what we need to make sure is that we have conservative majorities in the House and Senate, because that will make a huge difference. Thanks to all of you for coming, and I want to turn it back to Rob Maness, and thank you, Rob, for putting together this great rally.
Thank you, Woody. Chairman Billery, thank you for coming today, sir. Thank you for supporting this rally. We appreciate it. This state has grassroots Republicans. Donald Trump has got an approval rating of 87% amongst those that voted for him in this state. That's as of 2 weeks ago. We'll poll it again in a week. I'll bet it's at 90. Now, Mr. Trump and we have a lot of support from the biker community. We have the publisher of Louisiana Thunder Roads magazine, Miss Renee Harrell, here. She's just going to speak 5 minutes and about why the bikers are supporting Mr. Trump. Please give her a warm, warm welcome.
Bikers for Trump! Yes. As he said, I'm the co-publisher for Thunder Roads Louisiana magazine. And I just want to give y'all a little brief history, just a couple of minutes. I grew up on a horse ranch, and I fell off a horse and landed on a Harley when I was 17. Never looked back. We are the media publication for the biker community, and what you see behind me is a small portion of it that came to support us. They actually left a fundraiser for a child that has cancer. They put in their support there and left to come and support us and to see all you people. What I want to tell you, a lot of people, when you look at these guys, these ladies, you might see beards, you might see leathers, you might see patches, but what I see is family. What I see is a group of loving people with big hearts. They love the freedom of riding. Who's being silly behind me? That's all right, that's what we do. They love the freedom of riding, and we call it wind therapy. Yeah, we don't need psychiatrists, they got motorcycles. They have over 100,000 registered bikers in the state of Louisiana as of the last poll from 2014. When they were talking about the battleground state, this is what I want to tell you a little bit about that. The battleground states was made up of a lot of bikers. They came out by the thousands to help to vote Donald Trump in office. They have independent riders. They have organizations such as BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse, who empower children. They stay with them sometimes and protect them all the way up to trial when they face their accusers and get convicted. Then we have the Patriot Guard riders. I'm sure you have seen them on the news sometime at the airports. What they do is when a soldier passes away to the next life, or a police officer, fireman, they're mostly veterans, they come out, hence Patriot Guard, right? They come out and they support the family and escort them with dignity and bring them to their resting place. Then you have these guys, love you guys. This is the Fallen Riders Foundation. What the Fallen Riders Foundation does is help a biker when he goes down, help him pay his bills, sometimes what the insurance doesn't pick up, which can get real expensive medically, keep his lights turned on, buy his family groceries, whatever needs to be done to help. Appreciate y'all for that. All of these organizations, all of these bikers never ask for anything in return. Nothing. They do poker runs, they do benefits, when it's like today, the little girl that has cancer to help her family raise money. And what I want to tell you in closing really quick about this is kind of how we feel about them. I just want to put on my glasses here, I'm about half blind. I have numbers I could quote from other states, but I'm not going to do that. But the bikers are growing in communities. They're coming out in big numbers. And what we do is we respect the ideals and love and respect back to every corner of the United States. We bring these ideals of love and respect back into what it means to be an American. We haven't forgotten any of these people that have passed on, that have served our country. 80% of bikers are veterans or active duty military. The last thing I want to tell you is this. The next time you pull out your cell phones and you're in your car, please don't. Please don't. Look twice for bikers. And don't be scared of them. Look, they're harmless. They are. Unless you hurt one of their own. But I want you guys to have some respect for them on the road if you don't mind. Please do that. Save a life. And the next time you see these guys, anybody dressed like this, tell them thank you, because you never know, somebody in your family might need them next to help with your family. That's all I have to say. I want to thank everybody for coming. And if you can, the next time you're online or you're in any biker-friendly location, pick up a copy of Baton Rouge Louisiana magazine. They are free. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. And ladies and gentlemen, I did forget someone. Usually I introduce him when I see him at these rallies, but President Trump is here today, and he'll be doing photo ops with you after the rally. This is really comedian Bobby Blaze, who's also a biker. Please welcome him, and he will be here after the rally to take pictures. Thank you, Bobby. Now, Louisiana is known as the Hollywood of the South.
Right.
Unlike the lefty Hollywood out there, the Hollywood of the South loves Donald J. Trump. And that's why I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Ted Baldwin, film director and screenwriter, and a working part of that Hollywood of the South. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ted Baldwin.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Glad to be here. Hey, we did it. We got Donald J. Trump elected president. Let's hear it. We got a real American, a real leader. I see a lot of my friends out here. Roger Billery, I was on the State Central Committee for a while. Roger's a great guy. We're lucky to have him. Michael Elmore, one of my ministers at First Christian Church. Other friends that are here today. Welcome. Get to know people, because that's what it's all about. I started fighting communists when I was about 15 years old. I had a radio show when I was in high school, co-hosted with a friend of mine, and it was a point-counterpoint, believe it or not, back in the 60s. And I was the conservative voice, and some of the miseducated, uneducated high school students that we brought on that show that were for the left, that were pro-Cuba, and they were pro-Russia, and they were pro-communism, they didn't know anything at all but what they'd been spoon-fed, and they fed it back to us, and we beat them down. Well, we beat them in the argument then. In the late 60s, we beat the communists when they were protesting the Vietnam War. We beat them in the 70s when Bill Ayers and his radicals tried to have a war against the United States government and bombed 80 buildings. We put a lot of those people in prison where they belonged. In 1989 and a few years later, we brought down the Soviet Union. We put an end to it. And then the communists in this country, now there still is a Communist Party, USA, the communists in this country got smart. They changed their name. They became progressives. They became anything but communists. And the reason was we had done to the communist name brand what it needed to have done to it. We sullied it. We exposed it for the truth that it was. And they laid low for a while, but now they're back as radicals as the left. There are lots of groups that have sprung up that are all across this country that are anti-American, and they think that the United States is a terrible place. It's a place of discrimination and hatred, and it needs to be brought to its knees. And they have no idea, as our earlier speaker was saying, what the elitists are really like. those wolves in sheep's clothing. They think that Islam is going to be revered in the United States once the left takes control of the country. They're going to get rid of Islam. They don't want anybody around that can possibly have another revolution. So all the revolutionaries are going to be wiped out. You know, I'm torn on that question, but we want to keep our country. We want to keep everyone free to speak and do as they say. Donald Trump is hated by the left. They'll stop at nothing to destroy him. They want to tear us away from him. I say hell no to that. They want him isolated and alone against their insults, their attacks, their fake news. They don't want him to have any supporters, no associates. They want him gone. The work we did getting him into office was not enough, though. President Trump needs us more than ever. Who are we, though? Who am I? We're individuals that the Constitution of the United States was written for. I tell you, radical people hate rights and individuality with a passion, and they hate the Constitution. I'm not here speaking because I'm a Republican. I'm not up here because I have a degree, not because I'm gay, not because I'm a senior, or because I'm a screenwriter-director, not because I fit into any group. I'm here because I'm an individual, and the individual citizen of the United States is the most powerful person in the world. I have the full backing of the Constitution to pursue happiness. I have a government that was designed to keep its nose out of my business and protect me from harm. There was a time when the murder of a single American overseas carried grave consequences for the country that allowed it. There was a time when average citizens in major cities were not afraid to go out at night, not because they were armed, which is their God-given right, but because we had created a decent society based on Judeo-Christian principles. A society where citizens were taught to respect other people and their property as they respected us, where there were rightful consequences. The Constitution does not say, in order to form a perfect union of states. It says to form a more perfect union. They knew it would not be perfect. They could hardly have imagined we would carry instant libraries and selfie sticks. But they had the foresight to protect speech, to allow us arms to protect against the tyranny of our own people who would seek unlimited power. My generation, my parents' generation, we were kind and tolerant, and we half believed the radicals when they told us we were intolerant and evil. We accepted that we could do better, but they were never interested in a dialogue. They only wanted more and more and more, tearing us down, shaming America, shaming our great country, and we allowed it. President Trump knows the truth. We are a good and decent people. We care for our own. We don't need a big brother in Washington or in Baton Rouge. Today we stand on the brink of worldwide slavery. Slavery to unelected and uncaring masters. People buy slaves every day in some countries in the world today. It's not enough for them, though. They want to make us slaves, too. And we truly reject slavery. Donald J. Trump will empower each and every person with a job and income and financial stability in a country run on sound business principles. We will never accept enslavement. It's okay to clap if you don't want to be a slave. There's no more powerful country on earth than the United States. And in the past, we've taken the responsibility to feed the world, spread freedom, and guard our allies. In 8 years, we've seen it almost destroyed by lies and failures, and the intentional sabotage of America by its domestic enemies. We are now faced with a political media complex where seemingly innocent politicians lie with the help of media, and the public ends up supporting truly horrible things. I've been lucky. I work as a journalist sometimes. I've got a press pass. It gets me into the rallies, and I get to go up on the dais with the other media. I stand next to CNN sometimes, next to the New York Times. I feel I need to go home and take a shower when I'm done. The other thing is, President Trump's up there going, see those people up there? And he's pointing right at me. And it's like, no, I'm a good guy. I'm a good good guy. You know, this is a friendly camera right here. See that camera? My camera. It's good. They're not very happy people. They're unfriendly, even not knowing I'm a Republican. They're very unfriendly, sour people. And it's a sad way to have to live. We're a good and decent and smart people. We've stopped trusting fake news. You know, if they lie to you once, they'll do it again and again and again, and they're laughing about it. Well, they quit laughing on election night, let me tell you. When Donald Trump started running for office, they stopped loving him and started hating him for challenging her right to the presidency. You know, about media love for Donald Trump, before he started running for president, he was the darling of the NAACP. I heard a reporter down here asking Colonel Manus why, you know, Trump people were so racist. It's like, it's a lie. We're not racist at all. The lie is built up. Those same people were cheering Donald Trump on when he got the NAACP awards for helping the black communities. They want to connect Donald Trump with violence and with hate groups. When we started the Tea Party 7 years ago, the first thing the left did was start sending actors out to pretend to be Tea Party people. They had misspelled signs. They blacked their teeth out and wore crummy clothing and acted like rubes and got themselves on TV and in front of cameras. They started giving interviews as though they were full-fledged Tea Party members. And little by little, they chipped away the Tea Party. Then the IRS refused to give us tax status. And in 2 years' time, they practically destroyed the entire movement. The reason they did that is because they had a name, the Tea Party. It was something they could look at, something they could put a handle onto, and something that could be destroyed. So they went after us, and we fell for it. And the media took us down. They called Donald Trump names. They call him a Nazi, a fornicator, a molester, an anti-Semite, I should say. They call him a Nazi. Did I mention that they called him a Nazi already? Oh, I forgot. He's literally Hitler, you know. Literally. I mean, everybody knows that's common wisdom. You know, that almost worked. But we saw the real man. Today, I believe we're a movement without a name. We don't need a name. We're individuals from all over the country. There's nothing the left can do to us because they have no name to hang anything on. They can't say, oh, there go the Trumplicans. No, we're not Trumplicans. I'm a member of Gays for Trump. Great. They're trying to take that little organization down. But, you know, we're all individuals. We're all members of what? A movement that has no name. They want to now attack our individuality. That's a big thing of the left the last 20 years, is to go after individuals. And now it's all about the collective. And it takes the village. No, my mom and dad raised me, not the village. My mom and dad taught me about the evils of communism. They even went so far as to get me a subscription to Soviet Life magazine so I could see the propaganda, and they showed me what was propaganda themselves. So I got a good education. That's what it takes. We've got to educate people. Last fall, millions of individuals crossed political lines, racial lines, orientation lines, to defy the masters and vote for a true individual, a devoted father, a patriot, a good man. He respects our individual power, and he's restoring not just the words of the Constitution to power, but the heart. So far, he's doing right by us. The U.S. Constitution is for people who are black and red and Jewish and gay and female and disabled, not as groups, but as citizens. Our rights come from God, natural rights that say, I have the right to love whomever will have me. I have the right to own property, to raise my kids, to feed myself, to arm and protect myself, to marry and share and more, all without the need for government intervention in my life. Don't need it. Thank God today we've got President Trump, who respects all people of goodwill, and that's important. Not every culture is the same as ours, because not every culture is based on goodwill. We get along with England, a goodwill country. We get along with Israel, a goodwill country. There are lots of nations in this world that are not disposed towards goodwill. We don't need to be their friends. We need to lay down the law and explain what it means to be free. We have to do our part as individuals. Listen, when someone attacks your faith, let them know it. It's not okay. Don't just sit there and take it. If they're ridiculing Christians or Jews or what have you, tell them. Tell them how you feel about it. You don't have to be mean about it, but just stand up. You'll be amazed at the chilling effect that has on prejudice and intolerance from people that think they're very tolerant. When they ridicule your political views, stand up to them. Tell the truth. Stay informed. Look, if you get put in Facebook jail, it's okay. You will get out. But stand up to them. Don't be afraid. Do not fear. Don't worry if they make you sound foolish. Who cares? You're an individual, and you have the right to think and speak as you please. When they lie about Trump, when they assassinate his character, lie about his intentions and his associates, speak up. You don't have to be classy. You don't have to be eloquent. Most importantly, you don't have to be silent. They want to shut us up because, why? Because they have no defense against the truth. President Trump tells the truth, you can too. Lost my last page somewhere. Oh, wait a minute, where is it? Right here. And it's the last page because there's nothing on it. The Trump train is the truth train. Let's hear it for Trump. Thank you all. Be brave, and God bless and keep Donald Trump safe.
Oh, now I get to be the closer. Thank you, Ted. You're a great American. I will disagree with one minor point. We do have a name.
Real Americans!
We're Americans that love liberty. We have a name. Those that oppose us have a name. They are Americans that are misguided.
That's right.
It's become tradition that we close this out. I get to do the top 10 things that Donald Trump and his administration have accomplished.
Yeah.
But gosh dang it, he keeps doing great things every day, so now it's the top 13. Doggone it. But this is going out Facebook Live. And I want to tell you, the official crowd count here physically today is 500. Get on social media. The media's going to lie. They're going to say nobody showed up. They're going to say Donald Trump doesn't have any support. Get on social media and call them out for the liars that they are until they get their act together and do their duty for America and tell the truth. That's what the press and the free press is all about, and we should honor that. All right, number 10. Things that Donald Trump has accomplished. He put a federal hiring freeze on all non-essential personnel and started... You can cheer. What that does, it stops the wealth of our nation coming out of your pocket and my pocket from being sucked into the swamp in Washington, D.C. and puts the dollars back in the hands of the American people who are creating wealth in this nation. Number 9, he pulled support for the Obama drive to force women to allow men to come into their bathrooms. Number 8, and as the most pro-life state in the Union, Louisiana is very proud that he reinstated the Mexico City policy barring the United States government funding to international and non-governmental agencies for abortion. Because that unborn baby has the liberty of life too. Number 7, he ordered federal agencies to cut 2 regulations for every new one they propose. I love that one as part of my old platform. Number 6, he put out an executive order asking the Department of Justice and Homeland Security to withhold federal funds except as mandated by law from sanctuary cities, putting an end to the lawlessness in the State of the Union. Number 5, he approved the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone Pipeline with a stroke of a pen, creating tens of thousands of jobs, and 4,000 or 5,000 of those are going to come right here to the oil-producing and gas-producing state of Louisiana. Number 4, He immediately killed the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal that would have taken sovereignty away from the United States of America. You can cheer louder than that. Number 3, he immediately undermined Obamacare by preventing the federal government from enforcement actions that have crushed small businesses and individuals and caused them to lose their medical insurance. Number 2, if this doesn't get the biggest cheer, I don't know what will. He ordered the construction of the border wall just as he promised. And the old number 1 was he he's nominated Neil Gorsuch for the Supreme Court to replace Anthony Scalia. But then, ladies and gentlemen, he became the first president since Ronald Reagan to skip what's known as the nerd prom, the White House Correspondents Association Day. And then yesterday, he trolled Chucky Schumer about his meetings with the Russians. And then, God bless the President of the United States this morning, he immediately trolled former President Barack Obama for doing what? Wiretapping his campaign headquarters building. That is Watergate. Every one of those people that were in that administration that had anything to do with that, including the civil servant employees that followed that illegal order, must be found and prosecuted immediately. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. I love that motto. That's the mission of Gator Pack. We created it before Mr. Trump picked it up, and I'm so proud that he's made it famous because it makes it famous for you to put the power of the American people back in your hands and not in the hands of those in Washington or Baton Rouge. Ladies and gentlemen, the media will say we failed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of many. Tens of thousands of Americans have rallied at the grassroots level since February 27th in support of the American First policies. Please, if we don't have your email, go to gatorpack.com. It's on the sign behind me, or stop by one of the tables and fill out our sign-in sheet so we can keep you apprised of the next rally. Because the next rally will be soon, and it'll be bigger, and it'll be better, and I want to see 10,000 people filling this square the next time we meet. So leave this place, talk to people, let them know what you experienced today, go on your social media and put it out there, and let them know the spirit of America is live and well in the state of Louisiana, and that we, the people, will continue to support America First policies and President Donald J. Trump. Thank you all for being here today. I think, is Jared still here? He's going to lead us in God Bless the USA. Is that right? Where's the person that knows something? And it's not me. Kelly? There's Jared. Come on up, Jared. Did y'all have a good time today? Let these Facebook people know. How many thousands of people do we have on Facebook, Jared? Dustin? I almost called you Jared.
3,000.
So 3,000 on Facebook. What's that? 5,000. A lot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, God bless the United States of America. Jared, we're going to sing God Bless the USA to close us out. Thank you all very much.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her with the light from the dawn. From the oceans to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam.